Coming up, we get to admire the Toshiba RT-P33 portable cassette recorder. Hi, I'm Andrew Armstrong and welcome to the Back Office Teardown Lab. We have here the Toshiba portable RT-P33 cassette recorder, and I've put some batteries in already. It didn't work. I cleaned out the contacts because I thought I'd save some time. We all know what bad contacts look like, and the problem is when I push play I can hear that motor going. It's a powerful sound, and that's because this is of course a 6 volt. It's using double the voltage that we normally have in our radios and cassette players, but to no avail because clearly there's a belt gone in there, so we're going to have to dig in. Let's not beat around the bush, let's just do that. Now there are these indicators on here with little triangles. You might just be able to see those. You can see them right there, and those I believe are indicative of where you should remove your screws to get into this thing. So we're going to follow those right now, just because it might save us some time in undoing unnecessary... oh god, that's tight. How has that become welded in there? What? That's weird. We're going to try again, of course, with a smaller screwdriver. Hopefully I can get enough torque, and I can. These feel quite small screws. Now, believe it or not, this isn't the first time I've had one of these recorders. Oh, crikey. 2 screw sizes, by the way, teeny and large. No, I used to have one of these before, and it was really similar layout, so I feel it may have also been a Toshiba. But the weird thing it didn't have, because I got it second hand off somebody, gave it to me, or a car boot sale or the like. Oh, another screw size. Was that the battery had a kind of a module that it kind of clipped in, and I didn't have that battery bay. So I do remember getting it working, but it was really clunky because I was sort of, you know, sellotaping the batteries in with cardboard. But it definitely had this functionality, and I am going to be having a lot of fun later trying to figure out which screw goes in where. Look at that! Even then there's different screws. You've got 2 machine threads and then a self-tapping style thread. Crikey. This is reminding me of a Toshiba laptop where they use every screw going. Let's hope we don't have to go any further with that. So I'm just gently probing it. If we can get away with just opening it as is we want. There's a couple of screws there, but I don't know yet if they're necessary. I suspect they will be though. Oh, hello. I think it's this front that comes off from the look of it. Oh, it's definitely feeling like the front, and it's definitely off. Of course, you do get a counter on this because it is a recorder, so you'd use it like a dictaphone, and you could write on the tape inlays where you got to. What is that? Oh, that is there the tuning mechanism. So you've got that bit of wire that moves around to move that indicator. Whew, lot to go wrong. Again, we're not going to sort of go round and worry too much about dust and detritus. We just want to get it working right now. So I'm just seeing how you might want to get into it to get to the belts. And I kind of think we will undo those couple of screws because oh, they're tight. It feels to me like the back of this whole chassis might come off if we're lucky. And there's our crusty battery bay. Again, never hurts to have another little look while you're there. So that screw's tight because that one's holding the antenna in. So let's pop that out again, gingerly. At least I get to use a bigger screwdriver with a bit more torque on it. And that was the antenna. Let's hope it's not there. Nice and easy. And in fact, because that antenna has got the thread in it, at least I've got somewhere to put this screw back in where it was from. And we'll take one here. And if we end up with no screws left over, I'll probably be quite happy. So you can see there, it does all kind of just want to come apart. We're almost there. We need to get this off though, to get to the goodness. I'm going to gently lift that pause button here. I feel, yes, that button, you can see there, is perilous. It's definitely perilous. We don't want to break anything. But if we try to force it, in fact I can see from inside, we can get that button out. We can just put a tiny bit of force on the top. It should just pop out like a glove. That actually operates a switch directly. I kind of figured it would do something mechanically, so it probably just cuts power to the tape mechanism. Come on now. Ooh. We're almost there. Can feel it. It's so funny, these things. You just kind of got to keep gently jiggling till something gives, and then it'll all just plop apart if you're lucky. And if not, there'll be a screw somewhere, but I'm not feeling the tension you normally get when there's a screw. Certainly a bit of tension from this battery PCB. It's quite nice the way they've done that as a PCB. Let's just free that from the old glue. Oh, that's the motor popping around. No belt on it. Lots of belt underneath it. So there, that's definitely where we need to go. And what's this thing? Look at this interesting creature. We have a little wire there, not connected to anything. So we'll investigate that. Hopefully it wasn't previously connected to something that we've disturbed. I can see there's a wire in there wrapped around some other wires, but I don't think it's connected to anything. It's just acting as like a Jubilee clip or a cable tie. So maybe that's what that brown wire was for. Maybe that was just a cable tie type wire. It's interesting though. I've never seen that construction before, but it makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? It's an easy way of anchoring something to the chassis. Come on. Let's get all these. Gently, gently. Catchy monkey, almost there. And the only thing I can see here is we've got this power connector here, which is going actually to the input jack on the DC, which is then coming into these wires here, which you probably could zoom in and show you, those yellow and brown wires. So I think we're almost free. Just turn it this way. And that's it. As easy as that. I don't know what happened, it just all seemed to snap apart at the end. Now we could be in luck. Look at this. There's our belt in pieces. Oh no, that's horrible. That's a belt, like the ones we had before were just dried out, but this one's melted like a Microsoft mouse. You know, you use a Microsoft mouse and it's got that dead skin on it that's just gone gross. It's very much like that. It's just turned into some sort of tar, basically. It's denatured totally. So, oh, look at that. It is awful. I would suggest some IPA. In fact, that's probably what we're going to have a look for. See what eats into this. And then, apart from that, I think it's going to be easy to whip a new belt on. Just that one tedious aspect though is that we need to get the belt around there somehow. And before I do go any further, let's see how the drive continues to other parts. It does seem to be pretty much direct drive, so that's kind of horrible. If you lose the rubber on your direct drives, I think it's game over on these, because I don't know where you're going to get that unless you remove those rubber things and try to glue an O-ring or something on. So I'm going to try with some Flux Clean, which is a PCB cleaner. In fact, I've got a smear of it here. Let's just put, oh, there's a big old wash of it there. Yeah, you can see that's quite nicely dissolving that stuff there. So we're going to use the same thing. Get that on there. Yeah, that's doing a pretty darn good job, to be honest with you. Just got to be cognizant of the screws over here. I just sort of jolted those, send them flying. Flux Clean's good in that it won't really damage your PCB or anything like that. It's clearly okay, but judging from this, it might damage your rubber belts. So don't get it on those. And I'm just trying to put my nail in the groove now. Groovy baby, because I want to get out all of the detritus in that pulley. Let's turn the old paper around. And if you don't want to use your nail, just put your you know, tissue paper with a screwdriver in there or something like that. Or if you're really keen, get yourself one of these small teeny brushes, put your paper around that, give it a dash of the cleaner, and then just rub it like that. And you've created your own fancy cleaning apparatus. But I think we're good now, we're good. Now we just need to figure out what belts we need and how we're going to get it round there. So, just eyeball this again. So the chances really of getting a belt round there, unless you remove that, are pretty slim. So we need to figure out how to remove that whole assembly. And I've got a feeling we're going to have to remove, yep, there's that piece of spacer there. We'll put that aside so we don't lose it. Take our tiny screwdriver. Get some torque on it. And very tiny screws. Yet another set of super tiny screws. Almost like watch or eyeglass screws. And we'll clean that off there. So we've left a bit of muck on there. Looking at it though, we might have been able to slide the belt just under it, but why bother? For the sake of gluing that little dinky piece back on, I wouldn't worry about it. You might just disturb this little bearing thing on here, and then you'll be in trouble. So I'm going to go for what I think looks like about the right size belt. I mean, that's the best you can do. And if I tension that, I'll probably get a feel for it. Yeah, it's probably alright. Now you can see I've got the belt twisted, so I'm going to run it a bit just to see if we can convince all of this that it doesn't want to be. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad right there like that. Yeah, I think that's going to do the trick. So we're going to get this back on the right way round. With the right teeny screws. And it's just a case beyond that of putting everything back together. So it wasn't too bad, was it? Given all of the things that it could have been, that wasn't too bad. And I suspect things like this are probably speed control for the motor. Our ability to test it though outside of the unit is quite tricky though. Now something we might do while we've got the PCB cleaner out, you can see this crustiness here. Why don't we have a little go at brushing that while we're there? Get that going there. And remember, this thing here is a piece of PCB, so it's all super matched. And you can see I'm just using loads of the cleaner because I'm actually using it to rinse the board down. And if you've got PVA, you could PVA or IPA even, that'll help. PVA, not so much. Don't put it with dead cow boiled bone glue. That probably won't help you. But that's looking nice and clean now as well, so that's going to be a big old help. So I'm just going to glue that little rubber thing back on there and we'll get it all back together. It's all together and instantly I've forgotten what screw goes where. I'm just looking at the screws again and I've got the two fat screws and the one thin screw, and I kind of remember us doing something with them on the back here. Yes, are worrying. What are they to do with that? I'm going to roll with it. I'm going to assume whatever those screws were, we can continue to sort of put them on from the outside. I'm going to put our our pause button on back in before we forget that or break it or something. Okay, that seems to line up with the switch underneath. We won't be able to see that switch once we put this piece on. I'm just looking here. Yeah, we have some screws here that go right through into the chassis. Oop, stay. So I guess that's why we've got some long ones. We'll figure it out. And before we put any screws in, it might be possible for us to even test this. And that would be good, wouldn't it? I'm not sure what to use for our test music today, or test sounds. I'm thinking we had that Street Hawk tape was quite enjoyable. I do remember the Street Hawk tape, but the whole Salamander and the Monster story was quite good too, so I'm going to have a little think. I wonder if stories back in those days were designed to scare kids into sleeping, so you just sort of shiver yourself to sleep. Right. Well, that certainly sounds better. I mean, we've got sound there. Radio. It's got its own speaker, remember, on this thing too. But I saw the thing move a tiny bit. It's not... I wouldn't say it's like being massively driven. But I'm going to put a tape in just in case. Oh. Okay, well that did work. Ah! No! I don't have a pencil. Let's do this. Oh, this is an old thing to do, doesn't it? Do you remember last time you did this? It must have been forever. Oh, the tape's got a twist in it going on. What's that about? How do I get the twist out? Keep going. Work the twist out. Oh, I think we worked the twist out. Let's see. No, not really. Crikey. That was scary, wasn't it? I mean, we don't have the luxury of so many tapes to play with, so I'm going to be a bit more cautious now. We're going to go for the Adventures of Alice in Wonderland.
See, but the snail replied, too far, too far.
I'm noticing that wheel's spinning, but that one isn't. Is that the problem? Oh no. It is a problem. Big style problem. It's eaten another tape, and I don't want it to eat my tapes. Okay. Let's be gentle. Be gentle. Please be gentle. Oh, and that tape, you frigging thing, has wrapped itself around so many things inside there. My word. Right. I think we're going to go stage 2 on this, and I'm not sure how many tapes I'm prepared to sacrifice. Let's get a new fresh part here. So let's think what's happening here. We have partial... so I'm going to hit play. But we hear the motor running, but we don't see any of these things moving. And it seems to be... because that's what's being driven by the play there. This wheel up here. Okay, so you see that wheel is getting driven by the play. And in fact, it's not that wheel that's getting driven, it's this post. So then when we fast forward, okay, that's driving the doofer down there. And then when we rewind, that's driving that there. So the issue is, with whatever's going on when it's playing, it's not happy with that. So the best I think I could do right now is I'm leaving it playing. Let's see if we could just sort of clean it. And there is actually here cassette cleaning tape I happen to have, which may or may not do anything. Certainly worth sacrificing more though than an actual audio tape. I'm going to put, again, riskily, it's not going to be on there for long, our flux cleaning thing that may or may not damage rubber. And then let's get that tape in there, the cleaning tape. So that's the first time in forever that I've seen, look at that, inked it. It's really unhappy. It certainly doesn't like driving these that way at all, does it? I suspect this tape's made for things that drive the tape using these wheels, the reel-to-reely stuff. In fact, I can't even see how this could work. If you're playing, you need this thing to move. You need that. I mean, look, it did spin there slightly. There's something else wrong in this tape player. See it there? Spins a bit. I've got it all set up to figure out what's going wrong, and I can see basically that this gear here, I say gear, it's basically a roller, is designed to move into this one, and that's what powers this around. And if I push it gently, you can see it turning over here, and that's actually the action of this arm here, which allows it to move. And if I push it gently, you can see that's working just fine. What I suspect is that this spring or something's not quite good enough, and that's the spring in there. To be honest with you, the spring looks alright to me, but I think it might be possible for us to kind of try to put a little bit more tension on it. And that's kind of all we can do right now. So I'm just going to get that spring adjusted somehow. So I'm going to grab it at its fulcrum. Oh, hang on, it's coming out. Huh. Right, I would never have thought I'd have got that out. So that's the spring there, and it has to push there, so you'd have to bend it a little bit the other way if you were going to adjust it. In fact, I'm going to give it enough twist so it's 90 degrees so we can tell that we've actually bent it. So there, it's almost 90 degrees now. How the heck we get it in, that's another question. Through a lot of fussing, I should think. And away it goes. I fought the spring back in. The moment of truth, though. No! Is that even less tension than it had? That's annoying. Oh. I can tell it's not in the right place because if you just look in here, there's actually a piece of the spring where it shouldn't be. Just an update, we're in the full danger zone now. I couldn't put that spring back in, so I decided to keep going. And yeah, look at this crazy mechanism here. It's getting real dangerous. This is probably verging on the point where something stays permanently broken. I may well have been better to just let it lie. Do you know what I mean? But let's see what we can do. There's a hell of a lot of different screws now, hell of a lot of sizes, hell of a lot of springs under compression. Anything can go wrong. But it's a phenomenal thing to see how they made these bloody things. And there does happen to be at least one more belt in here. It's the belt for the tape counter. So if it's easy enough to change that one, which is just down here on the bottom of the screen, I will. With that L bracket. Scary stuff, really scary. There's a small spring here holding something, springs holding other idlers. I'm just using my fingers to just try to give me a little bit of feel on that, and I'm going to take that belt off. Right there, look at that, and that's the belt in there. Put that there, just so we don't lose it. So the spring we took out is to do with this guy, and I can see it now. I can see where it needs to be, so at least that's something. Rather you than me. Crikey, look at this thing. I clearly just yanked this spring out, and I did the same once to my ZX81 printer, and that spring turned out to be the whole head. You know, the print head of a ZX81 printer is a spring. So yeah, don't yoink one of those out. So using all of my dexterity, I'm trying to put this thing in, and I'm hoping to get it going. God, imagine one of these little cogs or something, you managed to shear one off. Yeah, you're going to be in trouble. Be careful. Be way more careful than me. That's all I can say. Right, got that idler back in. So the end of that spring has to be located and then put behind a different other part. So I think this is something maybe I might have to do off camera. So I really need to focus on this. Oh, that was scary. The spring is in. I've got the new belt on here. And I'm not going to hook that just yet because there's no screws in it. See if we can pop all these bits and bobs back on. There's a little spring here. I think I've got it on the right side. So hopefully this is providing you with the education you need to decide whether or not it's worth your time to do this, or you find somebody who's really keen and knows what they're doing. Like for example, just now, just through pushing that alone, I can feel, yep, that spring has gone out. Ooh, something has just gone out here. It's just, there's stuff under tension here, springs under tension. It feels to me like you've got potential for stuff just to not go back where it wants to go back. And that was perfectly aligned just one moment ago, and now it's gone, absolutely gone. Just through, I don't know. I've got no way of knowing. Why am I not watching TV instead, doing this? Good question. There's a little gotcha here. Which part of that goes where? So I'm going to just put a little bit of a bend on that as I put it back in, just to make sure. Take me to the maid, Marion. Oh, that's it. That felt good. I'm just going to keep pushing down on this all now. And I know I've got a black screw loaded in my screwdriver, but I'm going to go put one of these silver ones in. Hold that down. Whew. So if this doesn't work, I'm not really sure what you could do to increase the bite of the rubber. I don't know if there's something you can paint on them. I kind of feel there ought to be. But I certainly haven't heard anybody talk about it. I haven't heard Techmoan or anybody like that mention it. And if anybody would know, he would know. Never mind. This belt on here. So at least we've got a nice counter. Got this now, hopefully providing something. In fact, we've got power here. I could turn it all on, so it is all on now technically. In fact, I'm not going to run it yet, just because you've got this thing here which looks like a switch that has to interface to something in that board when you flip it over, and you're looking here going, what can that possibly hook into? And what are these three screws here for? Oh! As I said, an awful lot to get wrong. Okay, I can see what's going on with that switch. I kind of feel if we just pokey all of this back down. Should all be nice and happy. That's where you like to be. Right there. A couple of screws here. Get that there. And I think that's, oh, look at this thing's all shifted. I think that screw here actually comes in from the outside of the case as well. So you don't want to interfere with that one. It's amazing really, once you start getting into it, you realise all of this is just all floating off each other. Nothing is held in by anything else. And as soon as you start removing it, it all goes apart. It's a bit like a car without a ladder chassis. It's just all a kind of a weird monocoque construction. As soon as you destroy something, it's all going to go wrong. It's the next day and I've all but given up on this until I discovered that these belts, or rather these little things around the edge of these pulleys, actually come off. So I did take off that big one that's on that big black pulley, that's the sort of cog thing that drives the tape on the other side, and I gave it a wash in the sink and put it back, and it is kind of working, but it's really flaky. So what I thought I would do is just leave this running for like half an hour or something, just to see if it can kind of smooth out any indentations that would have been in that rubber on that thing, because I kind of feel there's like flat spots in it, and then it hits a flat spot, it stops, and then there's not enough pressure to get it started. So we've got nothing to lose, just let it run, and you know, if it doesn't work, we just pack it all back up again, because frankly we're not going to leave it in bits and chuck it away. It's too nice for that. So alas friends, what we end up with is abject failure. I could not get this to run at all, and what little spin I could get on this had no torque. So I'm going to have to call it quits on this one. And look, have I done something to the door as well? No. Yeah. So it's a bit sad. This is going to go into the box of disappointment, where it will remain until at some point in the future I will take it out and have another look at it. However, that being said, if you want to win this, please feel free to hit me up in Discord and find out what event I'm going to near, and if you happen to be near me, just ask me and I'll give this to you, and then you can have a go at fixing it. How about that? We can't get fairer than that. As ever, thanks for watching.